up, we're going to talk what are Oklahoma's biggest question marks coming out of spring ball. We'll do that next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So we're excited about what Oklahoma's done this offseason. There's been a lot of positive buzz coming out of spring ball for the Sooners. They're getting ranked inside everybody's top 25 for the 2025 season. John Mateer is considered the top transfer portal addition of the offseason. Jaden Ott is top 20 as well. But here comes the big but. And as my son would say, don't say but, or it's the other but. What are the biggest question marks facing the Oklahoma Sooners at this point, Jay?
To me, you probably got some on both sides of the ball, but I'd say one major question we have right now is who's going to be the one to step out in the wide receiver room? I think that's, to me, probably the bigger one on the offensive side of the ball for me, because we've now got ourselves a smorgasbord of wide receivers. We've got about 6 wide receivers we can talk about. The question is, who's going to be the 2 with Dion Burks to start, and who's going to be right behind them in the next 2 deep, which is important. Actually, with Isaiah Satania in the 2 deep. So it's really Burks and Satania is probably going to be your guaranteed main person in slot guys. Who's going to be with them? And if you go 4, it's Burks and Satania. Who else is going to be around there with them? The good thing is you got options. The bad thing is you got a lot of options. So you got the Gibson boys. We got to see if they're going to be healthy. You got Keontes Lewis, as well as returning player Zion Kearney, who you want to see make that next leap, which I think he can. Showed us a little something against Navy. But I think that that's probably the one question coming out, especially picking up Jermichael Carter. Where is he going to fit in the rotation with all of these players? And the young ones we got with like a Manny Choice, a Elijah Thomas, in which we talked about him being probably the player that's going to break out this year. I can see him fighting his way in and getting some game. Ivan Carrion, we need to see something out of him. So that to me is a really big question that we probably need an answer sooner than later, because the other one I was looking at is like tight end, and I don't think we really are that concerned about that right now.
Yeah, I mean, you all have heard me talk about tight end all offseason. It's not a position I'm too terribly concerned about. I think you can get along and get by with what you've got at the position, especially if they're only going to play a max 300 snaps this season. And Ben Arbuckle is going to rely more on 4 wide receivers, which, if that's the case, I like the talent at wide receiver and the upside at wide receiver more than I do at tight end. Even though we don't really know who's going to start on the outside, along with Dion Burks and Isaiah Satania in 4 wide receiver sets. Even if we don't know that, I still like the upside better at wide receiver, because I like the production that Keontes Lewis brings to the table. I like the potential of Elijah Thomas and Zion Kearney. Ivan Carrion has shown us when he's had, extended snaps that he can be a possession guy on the outside. He's really good at running that comeback route. Like, that is very natural for him. And obviously he's got the big size to be able to do that. Now just has to, clean up a little bit more of his game so that he can be more of a threat in the intermediate and downfield aspects, but you've got a lot of good options. So it's not that there's not talent, there's not ability there. And now it's just a matter of those guys, especially a Kearney, Carrion, stepping up and taking advantage of an opportunity, because there is an opportunity before them right now with Giovanni Gibson, with Jaden Gibson, still kind of coming back from injury. We don't know what the timeline is going to look like when they get to fall camp. How eager are Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, Emmett Jones going to be to get them out on the field early in fall camp? I don't think that they're going to be pushing them or rushing them in any stretch. So there's going to be a lot of snaps with the first team that are going to be available to work and earn a spot and earn a role. And so I think you have a lot of guys that could earn that role. For me, man, I would have come into this saying cornerback was one of the biggest questions. But the fact that they didn't add one in the portal, in the spring portal window, or even the winter portal window, they stood pat at cornerback, makes me believe that they think Gentry's going to be back and healthier than ever. And they trust that Eli Bowen is going to be healthy and ready to go week 1. Or that Jacoby Johnson's making the leap, or Kendall Dolby is ready to move outside and be one of your outside cornerbacks. The fact that they didn't address the cornerback position tells me Brent Venables feels great about where they're at.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about for Oklahoma on that is Jay Valai's recruiting and bringing in those three corners, nice size corners, and Malik and Cortland Guillory, as well as Tristan Haynes, who were recruited by some other bigger schools. I know Tristan almost ended up at Georgia. They wanted him pretty bad because he has all the intangibles you want. All you got to do is put a little bit more meat on his bones, and he'll be a nice hitter at corner. But Cortland Guillory's a dog. Like he's a dude that feels like he's overlooked, and he's going to go out there and show out. That is a pretty, big to me deal that they decided that, we're not going to go get somebody else. Maybe they actually want to play up one of the freshmen or two. Maybe they're going to let the freshmen go out there and say, hey, look, the scheme is you get physical out there and you should be physical with that person. You stay with your dude. Don't worry about nothing else. You stick to that person and you get physical. And then leverage the safeties to kind of cover up anything. I mean, if that's the play, that may be a lot funner than I would think. But while at the same time, we understand that they're looking for particular type of dudes.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to somebody about this recently, John, and I want to get your thoughts real quick before we wrap up. A lot of people keep throwing out that they feel like Oklahoma's kind of broke. And when it comes to what we're doing with recruiting and portal and all of that, but then I point out all these big name people that we got. And so I'm like, I feel like Oklahoma's just selective, like very selective.
Yep.
If they don't feel like you're going to be able to contribute immediately in some capacity, they're not willing to just throw a whole bunch of money at somebody that's not going to play. Am I off base?
No, not at all. It's the difference between going out and just buying a whole bunch of stuff because you can, and going and buying quality.
Right.
And having a good understanding of what you're looking at, because what might be a brand name and sounds like the best thing ever when it comes to quality may not be. But you look at something that, okay, it might have a little bit lower price tag. It might have, it might not be like the big name on the market, but it's going to have a better quality and better durability, and Fair. it's going to be something that the knowledgeable scout, the knowledgeable evaluator will look at and say, hey, actually this is better value than what this is, because this is going to give us more bang for our buck than that is. And that's not broke thinking. That's just wise. That's just wisdom,
Yeah.
And Brent Venables combined with Jim Nagy taking this understanding of like, yes, we're going to be involved in the NIL game, but we're not going to go overpay and we're not going to go overspend on players that may or may not be worth it. And we want to develop our young guys. And if we go in and we add players just to add players, it takes reps and snaps from other players. No, these guys have to have value added and they have to be better than what we've got. And if they're not better than what we've got, we're not going to add them. And I think you're right on, man. What they did in the 2025 recruiting class at cornerback, plus the emergence of Eli Bowen, plus the return of Gentry Williams, hopefully healthy, plus the slight emergence of Jacoby Johnson getting some playing time towards the end of the season, you've got some room to work at corner where you didn't have to go chase a guy in the portal that didn't fit your culture, your defense, whatever it was. You've got options. You're not desperate. And I think Brent Venables is seeing the benefit of, if true freshmen are ready or redshirt freshmen are ready and they're ready to contribute right away, we're going to play them. And that might not have been the case early on with a lot of those guys that were part of the first recruiting class of Brent Venables that was kind of put together in like a month and a half after Lincoln Riley left. But over the last few years, he's felt more and more comfortable with it because he and his assistants, they've been the one recruiting all of these guys. It's not been recruitment on the fly. It's not been recruiting somebody else's recruits. It's been, these are our dudes. These are the guys we want on our campus, in our locker room, ready to go to battle with. And they have more trust because they have a bigger, longer term relationship built with those true freshmen now than they had with those true freshmen back then. That's not to say they didn't believe in them, because those true freshmen from the 2022 class, they are a significant core of this defense going into 2025. Your Robert Spears-Jennings, your Kip Lewis, your Kobe McKenzie, Grayson Haltons. It's just taken them a couple more years of development than what we saw out of, the 23, 24, 25 recruiting cycles.
Yeah, we're just taking a little time, and the good thing is that we're now seeing those the bigger 22 and 23 players. We're now at their point where it's like, all right, show us what you got. You've got the experience. You've played enough, and they're the ones that we expect to step up. So yeah, and that's kind of thing I've been preaching to folks is that they're gonna play. They're gonna we're gonna play the players that we've recruited, and that's exactly what this staff has always wanted to do. Is they focus on. You can tell they love their guys, and I have an appreciation for that.
Yeah. And I think that's going to continue to speak volumes on the recruiting trail as well. It's like, okay, yes, you might use the portal, but you're not going to use the portal all the time.
Not going to live and die.
You're not going to live and die in the portal. You're going to continue to build through the recruiting ranks. And I think you see that with smart NFL teams too. They want to live in the draft and supplement through free agency.
There you go.
And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. You can follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube as well. You can follow me at John9Williams. You can also read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can go and yell at me like all the other SEC fans because my over-unders are starting to trend a little bit. The latest over-unders from FanDuel, wrote a little bit about that, did some predictions over there. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. Jay, what do you got coming up on Unfair Sports later this week?
We're going to talk quarterbacks. We're going to talk a little bit about Mateer a little bit more. We're going to do a little deep dive on some of him and why he's going to win the Heisman Trophy.
You won't want to miss it. So again, go check out that channel at Unfair Sports. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner. Definitely got to do my over-unders too, because John did a great one. I love it. They're so mad.
Got people offsides.
They're so mad.